Admiral Jack Morrison stood at the big window in his office. He looked out at the busy military base below. Soldiers moved around like tiny ants. Ships came and went from the landing pads. Everything looked normal, but Jack knew better. Today was not a normal day. The red phone on his desk rang. Jack walked over and picked it up. "Morrison here," he said. "Sir, they're here," said the voice on the other end. "The alien ship just appeared above Earth. It's huge." Jack closed his eyes for a moment. After 50 years of waiting, it was finally happening. "How big?" he asked. "About 2 miles long, sir. It's just sitting there in orbit. No weapons fired. Yet, good. Send the message to all department heads. Code Blue. Meeting in 1 hour." Jack hung up the phone and walked to his safe. He put his hand on the scanner. The heavy door opened with a soft click. Inside were files marked with red stamps. Top-secret files that only 5 people on Earth had ever seen. He pulled out a thick folder labeled Project Trojan Horse. The papers inside told a story that would shock the world. But the world couldn't know. Not yet an hour later, Jack sat at a round table with 4 other people. Dr. Lisa Carter sat to his right. She was the smartest person he knew. Her job was to study aliens and figure out how they thought. Commander Ben Harper sat across from him. Ben was young but very smart about military things. Captain Amy Davis sat at the end of the table. She was the best pilot Earth had ever seen. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jack began, "today is the day we've been preparing for. The Galactic Command has arrived." Dr. Carter opened her laptop. "The message came in 20 minutes ago," she said. "It's what we expected. They want us to surrender. In 30 days, or they'll attack." "What exactly did they say?" asked Ben. Lisa read from her screen. "Attention primitive species of the 3rd planet. You will submit to Galactic Command Authority within 30 standard days. If you refuse, we will pacify your world. Your resistance is pointless. Your technology is weak. Submit now and your people will be treated well." Amy laughed. "Primitive? Weak? They have no idea what they're dealing with." "That's exactly what we want," said Jack. "Lisa, tell them about the Galactic Command." Lisa stood up and walked to the big screen on the wall. Pictures of different alien species appeared. "The Galactic Command controls about 300 worlds," she said. "They've been doing the same thing for 2,000 years. They find a world with new technology. They study it from far away. Then they decide if the people are weak or strong." "And if they think the people are weak?" asked Ben. "They send a small force to take over. It always works because they're usually right. Most worlds really are weaker than them." Jack smiled. "But we're not most worlds." Amy leaned forward. "Tell them about the plan, sir." Jack stood up and walked to the window. 50 years ago, we met our first aliens. They were refugees running from the Galactic Command. They told us what was coming. They said the command would find us someday. So we started preparing, said Lisa. We studied every piece of alien technology we could find. We learned how their ships work. We learned how they think. We learned how they fight. And most importantly, said Ben, we learned how to hide what we really are. Jack turned back to the group. The Galactic Command thinks humans are primitive. They think we just learned to travel between stars. They think our weapons are simple. They think we're afraid. Let me guess, said Amy. We're going to let them keep thinking that. Exactly. For the next 30 days, we're going to look as weak as possible. We're going to act scared. We're going to show them old technology. We're going to make them think taking over Earth will be easy. Lisa pulled up another screen. Our spy satellites have been watching their ship. It's a scout vessel. They're studying us right now. They're counting our ships, looking at our weapons, listening to our communications. What are they seeing? Asked Ben. Exactly what we want them to see. Old rockets from the 2300s. Simple laser weapons. Basic shield generators. Ships that look like they're held together with spare parts. Amy grinned. While our real fleet is hidden on the far side of the moon. Along with weapons they've never seen before, added Jack. Dr. Phillips has been working on some very special surprises. Jack walked back to the table and opened the Project Trojan horse folder. Inside were pictures of massive ships, weapons that bent space and time, and shields that could stop anything. This is what we really have, he said. This is what they're not seeing. Sir, said Ben, what if they send a bigger force than we expect? They won't, said Lisa. We've studied them for 50 years. They always send the same size force, based on what they think they're fighting. If they think we're primitive, they'll send a primitive-sized fleet. And that's when we spring the trap, said Amy. Jack looked at each person around the table. This is the most important mission in human history. We're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every world the Galactic Command has ever conquered. We're fighting for every species they've ever enslaved. What about the other governments? Asked Ben. The Chinese, the Europeans, the Africans? They're all in on it, said Jack. This is bigger than any one nation. This is about the survival of the human race. Lisa closed her laptop. So what's our first move? Jack smiled. We panic. Starting tomorrow, every news station on Earth is going to talk about the alien threat. People are going to be scared. The military is going to look confused and unprepared. We're going to look like we're running around like chickens with our heads cut off. And the aliens will see all of this, said Amy. They'll see exactly what we want them to see. A young, scared species that has no idea what's coming. Ben stood up. When do we start? Right now, said Jack. Lisa, send the message to all world leaders. Tell them Phase 1 begins immediately. Ben, start moving our real ships to the hidden bases. Amy, I want you to personally oversee the fake military exercises. What about you, sir? Asked Amy. Jack looked out the window again. The sun was setting over the mountains. In 30 days, everything would change. Either humanity would be free, or humanity would be slaves. I'm going to do the hardest job of all, he said. I'm going to pretend to be afraid. The meeting ended, and the 4 people left the room, but Jack stayed behind. He looked at the pictures in the folder one more time. Ships that could travel across the galaxy in minutes. Weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Shields that could protect whole planets. The aliens thought they were dealing with primitive humans. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Jack closed the folder and put it back in the safe. Tomorrow, the greatest deception in human history would begin. And in 30 days, the Galactic Command would walk right into their trap. General Frank Collins watched the fake military exercise from his command center. On the screens around him, Earth's forces looked confused and scared. Ships moved slowly through space. Weapons fired and missed their targets. Radio chatter was full of panic and mistakes. It was perfect. Sir, said Lieutenant Sam Brooks, looking up from his computer, the alien ship is scanning us again. They're recording everything. Good, said Frank. Make sure they get a clear view of the missile. That just exploded in our own launch tube. Sam typed on his keyboard. Done, sir. They'll think our weapons are so old they blow up by accident. Frank smiled. 3 days had passed since the aliens arrived. 3 days of carefully planned chaos. Every military base on Earth was putting on the same show. Old equipment breaking down. Soldiers looking confused. Leaders arguing on television about what to do. Meanwhile, Earth's real military was hidden where the aliens couldn't see it. Dr. Kate Phillips walked into the command center. She carried a tablet filled with information about Earth's secret weapons. Frank, we need to talk, she said. What is it, Kate? The aliens are buying it completely. Our fake communications are working. They think we're using radio waves from the 2200s. Frank laughed. While we're actually using quantum communication that they can't even detect. That's not the best part, said Kate. They're so sure we're primitive that they're not even trying to hide their own communications. We're reading everything they send back to their command. What are they saying? Kate looked at her tablet. Quote, species shows typical pre-space technology. Simple nuclear weapons. Basic energy shields. Recommend standard pacification force. Resistance expected to last less than 1 day. 1 day? Frank shook his head. They really think we're that weak. It gets better. They're planning to use only 60 ships for the invasion. 60 ships to conquer the entire planet. Frank's eyes went wide. 60? Our intelligence said they usually send at least 200 for a world our size. They're that confident, said Kate. They think we're so weak that 60 ships is more than enough. Lieutenant Brooks looked up from his station. Sir, Captain Kelly is requesting permission to start Phase 2. Tell him to proceed, said Frank. Captain Ryan Kelly was running the most dangerous part of the operation. His job was to let the aliens think they were successfully spying on Earth. He had to make it look like their scouts were sneaking around undetected, when actually Earth was watching their every move. In a bunker deep underground, Ryan looked at his team. Remember, people, these aliens think they're being clever. They think we can't see them. Let's keep it that way. Sergeant Mike Torres nodded. The fake weapons storage facility is ready, sir. When they scan it, they'll see exactly what we want them to see. What about the power readings? Asked Ryan. We're running everything on backup power. It'll look like we're struggling to keep our defenses running. Ryan checked his watch. The alien scout ship should be here in 10 minutes. Everyone remember your jobs. Act confused. Act scared. If you see anything that looks too advanced, hide. The team spread out through the fake facility. It was filled with old weapons from 50 years ago. Missile launchers that barely worked. Energy guns that overheated after 3 shots. Computers that looked like they came from a museum, but hidden beneath the floor were some of the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. Weapons that could destroy the alien scout ship in seconds. Weapons that the aliens didn't even know were possible. Contact, said Torres. Small ship coming in from the north. It's trying to stay hidden behind the mountains. Ryan smiled. Perfect. Let them think they're being sneaky. Remember, we can't see them. The alien ship was small and fast. It used advanced camouflage to stay invisible. But Earth's real sensors had been tracking it for hours. The aliens just didn't know it. They're scanning the building, said Torres. Energy readings are primitive nuclear weapons, simple explosives, basic communication equipment. Just like we planned, said Ryan. Mike, start the confused soldier routine. Torres began talking loudly into his radio. Base, this is Outpost 7. We're getting weird readings on our sensors. Could be equipment failure. These old machines break down all the time. Outpost 7, this is Base. Check your power connections. We've been having problems all week. Roger that. Man, I can't wait until we get some new equipment. This stuff is ancient. Ryan watched his hidden screens. The alien ship was recording everything. They were seeing exactly what Earth wanted them to see. Confused soldiers using broken equipment, complaining about how old everything was. After 20 minutes, the alien ship flew away. It had what it came for. Proof that Earth weak and unprepared. Phase 2 complete, said Ryan into his secure communicator. The aliens think they've seen our best weapons. They have no idea what we really have. Back at the command center, Frank was talking to leaders from around the world. The big screen showed faces from every continent. President Johnson from North America, Prime Minister Liu from Asia, Chancellor Okafor from Africa, Premier Volkov from Europe. "Ladies and gentlemen," said Frank, "the deception is working perfectly. The aliens think we're exactly what they expected. A young, weak species that just learned to travel in space. What about our real preparations?" asked President Johnson. "All on schedule," said Frank. "Our hidden fleets are in position. Our secret weapons are ready. Our defenses are charged and waiting." Dr. Phillips stepped forward. "I have an update on our quantum weapons. We've finished testing the space-time disruptors. They work even better than we hoped." "What do they do?" asked Prime Minister Liu. "They can stop any ship from moving or firing. The aliens won't be able to run away or fight back." Chancellor Okafor looked worried. "What if something goes wrong? What if they discover our deception?" Frank looked at the screen. "Then we fight them with what they think we have. But that won't happen. We've been planning this for 50 years. We know how they think. We know how they fight. We know their weaknesses." "Remember," said Premier Volkov, "this isn't just about Earth. This is about every world they've conquered, every species they've enslaved. If we can break their power here, it will free billions of people across the galaxy." Frank nodded. "That's why we have to make this look perfect. For the next 27 days, we need to be the most convincing actors in history." Lieutenant Brooks suddenly stood up. "Sir, we're getting a transmission from the alien ship. They're sending a message to their command." "Put it on screen," said Frank. The alien language appeared on the screen, followed by the translation. "Third planet species confirmed primitive. Technology level approximately 500 years behind standard. Military forces disorganized and equipped with obsolete weapons. Recommend immediate pacification with minimal force. Estimate total conquest time, 6 hours." Frank smiled. 6 hours. They think they can conquer Earth in 6 hours. "That's insulting," said President Johnson. "That's perfect," said Frank. "The more they underestimate us, the better our trap will work." Dr. Phillips checked her tablet. "Frank, we need to discuss the final phase. When the invasion fleet arrives, we need to make sure they position themselves exactly where we want them." "How do we do that?" "We make our defenses look weaker in some places than others. We guide them to the spots where our hidden weapons can hit them all at once." Frank looked at the world leaders on the screen. "Are you all ready for this?" "In 27 days, everything changes. Either we win our freedom or we lose everything." "We're ready," said President Johnson. "Humanity has never been more united." "Our people are prepared," said Prime Minister Liu. "They know what's at stake." "The resistance movements on other worlds are counting on us," said Chancellor Okafor. "We cannot let them down." "For freedom," said Premier Volkov. "For all the worlds that have been enslaved." Frank saluted the screen. "Then let's give them the show of their lives. Let's make them think they're facing the weakest, most helpless species in the galaxy." The transmission ended. Frank looked around his command center. In 27 days, this room would be the center of the greatest battle in human history. But right now, it had to look like the most confused and unprepared military headquarters in the universe. "Sam," he said to Lieutenant Brooks, "send out the fake panic messages. Make it look like we're arguing about whether to surrender." "Yes, sir." "Should I include the part about our leaders hiding in bunkers?" "Perfect. And Kate, make sure our fake weapon tests keep failing. I want those aliens to think we can't hit the broad side of a barn." As his team got to work, Frank looked out the window at the sky. Somewhere up there, an alien ship was watching Earth, recording everything, sending reports back to their command. They had no idea they were about to walk into the greatest trap in galactic history. Commander Pete Anderson floated in the command center of the hidden space station. Through the thick metal walls, he could feel the vibrations of massive engines starting up. After 30 days of waiting, it was time. "Sir," said Lieutenant Carroll. "White, the alien fleet just dropped out of hyperspace. 60 ships exactly as predicted." Pete smiled. 60 ships to conquer Earth. They really do think we're helpless. On the main screen, the alien fleet appeared as red dots. They were moving slowly toward Earth, spread out in a formation that Pete had seen in military books. It was the same formation they had used to conquer 300 worlds. "Dr. Martinez," Pete said, "are your quantum weapons ready?" Dr. Sarah Martinez looked up from her control panel. "All systems green, Commander. We can disable their entire fleet in less than 10 minutes. Major Thompson, what's the status of the lunar bases?" Major Alex Thompson's voice came through the speakers. "Lunar command is ready, sir. All hidden weapons are powered up. They still think the moon is just a rock." Pete laughed. "If they only knew that rock has enough firepower to destroy their entire empire." The alien fleet continued moving toward Earth. They were taking their time, confident that nothing could stop them. Their ships were massive, each one capable of destroying a city. But Pete knew something they didn't. Size wasn't everything. "Captain Santos," Pete said, "what's your squadron status?" Captain Maria Santos replied from her fighter. "Eagle Squadron is ready, sir. 36 ships, all invisible to their sensors. Remember, Maria, we need to capture their ships intact. The resistance movements on other worlds need those ships." "Understood, sir. We'll use the sleep rays. Their crews will be unconscious, but unharmed." Pete watched the alien fleet get closer to Earth. Any minute now, they would start their attack. They would expect Earth's weak defenses to crumble immediately. Instead, they were about to get the shock of their lives. "Pete," came Admiral Morrison's voice from Earth, "the aliens are scanning our fake defenses. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see." "How do they look, sir?" "Confused, scared. They're sending messages about how our weapons are even weaker than they thought." Pete checked his watch. "Are they in position?" "Almost. They're moving into the exact formation we planned for. In 5 minutes, they'll be surrounded by our hidden weapons and won't even know it." On Earth, the fake military bases were putting on their final show. Old rockets launched and missed their targets. Energy shields flickered and failed. Radio. Communications were full of panic and confusion. "This is General Collins to all units," came the fake transmission. "The alien fleet is too strong. We can't stop them. All forces retreat to the bunkers." The aliens intercepted the message and believed every word. Their own communications were filled with confidence. "Target planet defense is collapsing," said the alien commander. "Begin final approach." "This will be easier than we thought." Pete looked at his crew. "People, this is it. In 30 seconds, we reveal ourselves. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every world these aliens have ever conquered." The countdown began. 10.9.8.8.7.6.5.4 3.2.1. Now, suddenly, space around the alien fleet lit up like a Christmas tree. The moon revealed massive weapon platforms that had been hidden under fake rock. Hidden space stations appeared as their camouflage dropped. Earth's real defense fleet materialized from behind asteroids and planets. But the biggest surprise came from the ships themselves. What had looked like primitive Earth vessels suddenly changed. Their hulls shifted and transformed. Advanced weapons emerged from hidden compartments. Energy shields 10 times stronger than anything the aliens had ever seen came online. What? In the 7 stars ... gasped the alien commander. "Attention Galactic Command Fleet," came Admiral Morrison's voice. "This is Admiral Morrison of the United Earth Defense Force. You are completely surrounded. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." The alien commander looked at his tactical display. Where there had been empty space a moment before, there were now over 200 human ships. Each one was radiating energy signatures that his computer said were impossible. "Impossible," he whispered. "Our intelligence said they were primitive." "Your intelligence was wrong," said Morrison. "Surrender now, and your crews will be treated well. Resist, and you'll discover just how advanced our weapons really are." Commander Anderson watched the alien fleet on his screen. Their ships were trying to turn around, but they were boxed in. Major Thompson's lunar weapons were behind them. Captain Santos's fighters were above them. Pete's space stations were to the sides. "Dr. Martinez," Pete said, "give them a demonstration?" "With pleasure, Commander." Dr. Martinez pressed a button on her console. A beam of energy shot out from her weapon and hit the nearest alien ship. The ship didn't explode. It didn't even get damaged. It just ... stopped. "What did you do?" asked the alien commander. "We call it a quantum lock," said Dr. Martinez. "Your ship can't move. It can't fire weapons. It can't even communicate with your fleet. But your life support is fine. Your crew is safe." Pete spoke into his communicator. "This is Anderson to all units. Begin capture operations. Use quantum locks on all ships. No one gets hurt unless they try to hurt us first." One by one, the alien ships stopped moving. Their engines shut down. Their weapons powered off. Their communications went silent. In less than 10 minutes, the entire invasion fleet was captured. "This is impossible," the alien commander said. "How did you develop such technology? You're supposed to be primitive." Admiral Morrison's face appeared on the alien screen. "We've been studying your technology for 50 years. We've improved it. We've made it better. Did you really think you were the only intelligent species in the galaxy? But our scouts, our intelligence, you showed us primitive weapons. We showed you what we wanted you to see. While you were watching our fake defenses, we were preparing our real ones." Major Thompson spoke from the lunar base. "Sir, we've secured all 60 ships. No casualties on either side." "Excellent work, Major. Captain Santos, how are the boarding operations?" Captain Santos replied from her fighter. "All alien crews are unconscious but unharmed. The sleep rays worked perfectly. They'll wake up in a few hours with headaches, but they'll be fine." Pete looked at his tactical display. The entire alien fleet was now under human control. 60 advanced warships, each one capable of traveling across the galaxy. Ships that would soon be carrying a very different message to the stars. "Dr. Martinez," Pete said, "send a message to the resistance movements. Tell them the plan worked. Tell them help is coming." "Already done, Commander. We're getting responses from 17 different worlds. They can't believe it actually worked." Admiral Morrison's voice came through the speakers. "People of Earth, this is Admiral Morrison. The alien invasion has been stopped. Not one human life was lost. Not one alien life was lost. We have captured their entire fleet." Pete smiled. "Sir, what's our next move?" "We give the galaxy a choice. The Galactic Command has ruled through fear for 2,000 years. It's time for that to end." The alien commander sat in his disabled ship, staring at the screens around him. Everything he had believed about humans was wrong. They weren't primitive. They weren't weak. They had been planning this for decades. How? He asked himself, how did we miss this? The answer came from Admiral Morrison. "You missed it because you never considered that we might be smarter than you. You never thought that we might learn from every species you conquered. You never imagined that we might be patient enough to wait 50 years for the perfect moment. Pete looked out at the captured fleet. You know what the best part is? We're not going to use these ships to conquer other worlds. We're going to use them to free other worlds. What do you mean? Asked the alien commander. We mean, said Captain Santis, that the age of the Galactic Command is over. The age of freedom is beginning. Dr. Martinez checked her instruments. Commander, we're getting transmissions from across the galaxy. Word is spreading fast. The Galactic Command's own communication network is carrying the news. What kind of news? That Earth defeated their invasion fleet without firing a single shot. That humans have technology the Command has never seen. That the primitive species just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. Pete looked at the alien commander on his screen. Your empire was built on the idea that you were superior to everyone else. But you forgot something important. Intelligence isn't about technology. It's about learning. And humans are very good at learning. Major Thompson spoke from the lunar base. Sir, we're getting requests for help from 43 different worlds. They want to know if we'll help them fight for their freedom. Tell them, said Admiral Morrison, that help is on the way. Tell them that no world has to face the Galactic Command alone anymore. Pete looked at his crew. They had done it. They had pulled off the greatest military victory in human history. But more than that, they had given hope to billions of people across the galaxy. People, he said, we just proved that brain beats brawn. We just proved that patience beats aggression. We just proved that unity beats tyranny. The alien commander looked at his disabled ship one more time. What happens? To us now? That depends on you, said Admiral Morrison. You can help us free the worlds you're Admiral Jack Morrison walked through the corridors of the captured alien flagship. The ship was huge, bigger than any human vessel. But now it belonged to Earth. Commander Ben Harper walked beside him, carrying a tablet full of information about their prisoners. The alien commander wants to speak with you, said Ben. He says he has questions. I bet he does, said Jack. 50 years of planning, and he walked right into our trap. They entered the ship's main conference room. High Admiral Zexthara sat at the table, his forearms folded across his chest. He was tall and thin, with skin that looked like gray leather. His eyes were large and black, filled with anger and confusion. Human Morrison, he said, his voice deep and strange. I demand to know how you defeated us. Jack sat down across from him. You defeated yourself. You believed your own propaganda about primitive species. Impossible. Our intelligence was perfect. We watched your world for months. We saw your weapons. We heard your communications. You were exactly what we expected. We were exactly what we wanted you to see, said Jack. Ben, show him the files. Ben opened his tablet and placed it on the table. The screen showed pictures of Earth's real weapons. Ships that could cross the galaxy in hours. Weapons that could bend space and time. Shields that could protect entire planets. Zexthara's eyes went wide. Where did you get this technology? We made it, said Jack. 50 years ago, we met refugees. From your empire, they told us you were coming. They gave us samples of your technology. We studied it, improved it, and made it better. That's impossible. You're a young species. You've only had space travel for 200 years. Jack smiled. That's what you wanted to believe. But humans have one advantage you never considered. We learn from everyone. Every species you conquered taught us something new. Dr. Lisa Carter entered the room, carrying a thick file. Admiral, I have the analysis of their communication logs. You need to see this. She sat down and opened the file. Zexthara, your empire has been making the same mistake for 2,000 years. You judge every species by your own standards. You think technology equals intelligence. You think age equals wisdom. It does, said Zexthara. The older the species, the more advanced they become. Wrong, said Dr. Carter. Age doesn't matter. What matters is the ability to adapt, to learn, to grow. Humans are good at that. Jack leaned forward. Tell me, Zexthara, how many species? Have you conquered? 312 worlds. All of them surrendered when they saw our superior technology. And how many of them fought back after you conquered them? Zexthara shifted in his seat. Resistance is common at first, but it always fails. We have the superior weapons. What if I told you that 67 of those worlds have been in secret? Contact with Earth for the past 20 years? The alien's face went pale. That's impossible. Ben opened another file on his tablet. It's not only possible, it's true. The Kalari system has been sending us technology for 15 years. The Vorthan. Worlds have been sharing their knowledge of energy shields. The Nexus colonies have been teaching us about space travel. You see, said Jack, while you were busy being arrogant, we were building a network. Every species you oppressed became our teacher. Every world you conquered became our ally. Dr. Carter pulled up a star map. Look at this, Zexthara. The red DOTs are worlds under galactic command control. The blue dots are worlds that have been secretly helping Earth. The map showed hundreds of star systems. More than half of them were blue. This is impossible, whispered Zexthara. Our control is absolute. Our monitoring is perfect. Your monitoring is focused on looking for rebellion, said Jack. You never looked for cooperation. You never imagined that conquered worlds might work together. Captain Amy Davis entered the room. Admiral, we've finished analyzing their fleet. Every ship has communication logs showing contact with resistance movements across the galaxy. What kind of contact? Ask Jack. Requests for help. Offers of alliance. Promises of support when the time comes. Sir, there are rebellion movements on almost every world they control. Zexthara looked at the humans around him. You planned this. All of this. For 50 years. We planned it for longer than that, said Jack. We planned it from the moment we realized the galaxy was full of bullies who picked on smaller species. We decided that someone had to stand up to you. But why? Why risk everything for species you've never met? Dr. Carter looked at him with sad eyes. Because it's the right thing to do. Because no one should have to live in fear. Because freedom isn't something you get to decide for other people. Ben showed another screen on his tablet. Zexthara, in the past 6 hours we've received messages from 234 worlds. They're all asking the same thing. When do we fight back? Fight back? Said Zexthara. With what? We have the largest fleet in the galaxy. Had, said Jack. Past tense. Your largest fleet is now our largest fleet. And we're not the only ones who have been preparing. Amy walked to the window that looked out into space. Look out there, Zexthara. What do you see? The alien stood up and looked out the window. His forearms began to shake. Ships, hundreds of ships. Where did they come from? From everywhere, said Jack. From every world you thought you controlled. From every species you thought you had defeated. They've been building in secret for years, waiting for this moment. The space around Earth was filled with ships. Not just human ships, but vessels from dozens of different species. Some were small and fast. Others were huge and powerful. All of them were united for the first time in galactic history. This is Admiral Morrison to all allied forces, Jack said into his communicator. Welcome to Earth. Welcome to the beginning of the end of the Galactic Command. Voices replied in dozens of different languages, all of them saying the same thing. Ready to fight. Ready to be free. Zexthara sat back down, his head in his hands. We controlled 300 worlds. We had the strongest military in the galaxy. How did we lose it all in one day? You didn't lose it in one day, said Dr. Carter. You lost it over 50 years. Every time you conquered a world, you created enemies. Every time you showed cruelty, you created rebels. Every time you acted like you were superior, you proved that you weren't. Jack stood up and walked to the window. Look at those ships, Sexthara. Each one represents a world that refused to stay conquered. Each one represents a species that refused to give up hope. What do you want from us? Asked Sexthara. We want you to help us fix the galaxy, said Jack. We want you to help us free the worlds you enslaved. We want you to help us build something better. And if we refuse, then you sit in prison while we do it without you. But think about this. You have a choice. You can be part of the solution, or you can be part of the past. Then pulled up another file. Sexthara, we know about the resistance movements on your home worlds. We know that not all of your people agree with the Empire's methods. What are you talking about? There are Galactic Command citizens who have been secretly helping the resistance for years. Scientists who share technology. Soldiers who warn targets before attacks. Politicians who delay invasion orders. Sexthara looked shocked. That's treason. That's conscience, said Dr. Carter. Even in your empire, there are people who know that conquest and slavery are wrong. Jack sat back down. We're not your enemies. Sexthara, we're the enemies of tyranny. If you and your people want to be part of a free galaxy, we welcome you. Free galaxy? What does that mean? Amy turned from the window. It means no more invasions, no more conquered worlds, no more enslaved species. It means every world gets to choose its own government, its own future. Impossible. Who would maintain order? Who would prevent wars? We would, said Jack. All of us working together. The species you tried to conquer are now working as allies. We're forming a new kind of government. Ben showed another screen. We call it the Free Worlds Coalition. Every species gets a voice. Every world gets to vote. No one species controls the others. Sexthara was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. What about the worlds that still support the Galactic Command? What about the species that believe in our way? They get to choose too, said Dr. Carter. If they want to keep their old government, they can, but they can't force it on anyone else. And if they try? Jack's face became serious. Then they'll face the same thing you just faced. The galaxy is done with bullies. A voice came through the ship's communication system. Admiral Morrison, this is Captain Santos. We're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Command Capital. Put it through, said Jack. The screen on the wall lit up. A figure appeared, wearing the golden robes of the Supreme Command Council. He looked angry and afraid. This is Supreme Commander Veltar of the Galactic Command. You will release our fleet immediately. Hello, Veltar, said Jack. I'm Admiral Morrison. Your fleet is safe. Your people are unharmed. But they're not going home until we talk. You dare make demands of the Galactic Command? I dare to offer you a choice. Join the new galaxy we're building, or watch your empire fall apart around you. Veltar's image flickered with rage. We have thousands of ships. We have weapons you cannot imagine. We will crush your rebellion. With what? Asked Jack. Your best fleet is sitting in our hands. Your conquered worlds are in open revolt. Your own citizens are turning against you. What exactly are you going? 6 months later, Admiral Jack Morrison stood on the observation deck of Unity Station. The massive space station floated above Earth, but it belonged to everyone now. Ships from 47 different species came and went every day. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Dr. Lisa Carter joined him at the window. The morning reports are in, she said. 17 more worlds declared independence yesterday. The Galactic Command now controls less than 30% of their former territory. And the resistance movements? Growing stronger every day. The weapons and ships we've shared are making a huge difference. Jack smiled as he watched a Kalari transport ship dock next to a human cruiser. 6 months ago, those two species had never met. Now they were trading technology and sharing knowledge. "Any word from Ben?" asked Jack. "Commander Harper's fleet just liberated the Nexus colonies. No casualties on either side. The Galactic Command forces surrendered without a fight. They're learning," said Jack. "Fighting us is pointless. We're not conquering their worlds. We're freeing them." Captain Amy Davis walked onto the observation deck. She carried a tablet with the latest reports from across the galaxy. "Admiral, you need to see this. We just received a message from Veltar, the Supreme Commander." "What does he want now?" Amy handed him the tablet. "He's asking for a meeting. He says the Galactic Command Council wants to discuss terms." Jack read the message. After 6 months of losing worlds and ships, the Galactic Command was finally ready to talk. What kind of terms? They want to keep control of their core worlds. About 50 systems. They're willing to give up everything else in exchange for peace. Double quotes. Dr. Carter looked surprised. That's a much smaller empire than they started with. "It's still too big," said Jack. "Any empire based on conquest is too big, but it's a start." They walked to the station's main conference room. Representatives from dozens of species sat around a huge circular table. This was the Free Worlds Coalition Council, the new government that was slowly replacing the Galactic Command's rule. At the head of the table sat Sexthara. 6 months ago, he had been an enemy. Now he was the Coalition's Minister of Reconciliation. His job was to help former Galactic Command worlds transition to freedom. "Friends," said Jack as he entered the room, "we have news. The Galactic Command wants to negotiate." A cheer went up from the assembled representatives. The war was almost over. "What are they offering?" asked Minister Claruth, a tall blue being from the Vorthan worlds. Amy read from her tablet. "They want to keep 50 core systems. They're willing to release all other territories and recognize the Coalition's authority." 50 systems is still millions of people, said Representative Thane, a small furry creature from the Outer Rim. "We can't leave millions of people under their control." Zexthara stood up. "If I may suggest something," he said, "we could offer them a different choice. Instead of keeping territory, they could join the Coalition as equals. Would they accept?" "That?" asked Minister Claruth. "Some would. Many of my former colleagues are tired of constant war. They're tired of being hated by half the galaxy." Jack thought about it. What about a referendum? Let every world in their remaining territory vote. Stay with the old system or join the Coalition? "That could work," said Dr. Carter. "But we'd need to make sure the votes are fair. No intimidation, no threats. We could send observer teams," suggested Amy. "Coalition representatives to monitor the elections." Representative Thane raised a small paw. "What about the worlds that vote to? Stay with the Galactic Command? Do we just leave them alone?" "We have to," said Jack. "The whole point of the Coalition is choice. If we force them to join us, we're no better than the Command." Zexthara nodded. "But we also make it clear that any world can change its mind later, and any world that tries to conquer others will face the Coalition's response." The Council voted. The decision was unanimous. They would offer the Galactic Command a choice between negotiated surrender and total defeat. 2 weeks later, Jack found himself on Unity Station's main docking bay. A Galactic Command ship was approaching, flying a flag of truce. Supreme Commander Veltar was coming to negotiate in person. "Are you nervous?" asked Dr. Carter. "A little," admitted Jack. 6 months ago, this man controlled half the galaxy. Now he's coming to us asking for mercy. He's not asking for mercy, said Amy. He's asking for a way to save face. The command ship docked. Veltar emerged, flanked by 2 guards. He was smaller than Jack had expected, and older. The 6 months of constant defeats had aged him. Supreme Commander, said Jack, extending his hand. Welcome to Unity Station. Veltar looked at the offered hand for a moment, then shook it. Admiral Morrison, I admit this is not how I expected our war to end. It doesn't have to end in defeat, said Jack. It could end in partnership. They walked to the conference room. Veltar looked around at the representatives from different species, all working together. This is what you've built? He asked. This is what we've all built, said Jack. Together. The negotiations took 3 days. Veltar was stubborn, but he was also realistic. The Galactic Command had lost too much to continue fighting. On the final day, they reached an agreement. Every world in the former Galactic Command territory would vote on its future. Coalition observers would ensure fair elections. Any world could choose to join the coalition, remain independent, or form their own governments. And if some worlds choose to stay with the command? Asked Veltar. And they stay, said Jack, but with conditions. No more invasions. No more conquest. Any aggressive action will be met by the full force of the coalition. You would go to war to protect worlds that aren't even members? We would go to war to protect freedom, said Dr. Carter. That's what the coalition is for. Veltar signed the agreement. I hope you realize what you've done, he said. You've changed the galaxy forever. That was the point, said Jack. 6 months later, the votes were counted. Out of 312 worlds, 291 chose to join the coalition or become independent. Only 21 chose to remain with the Galactic Command. Jack stood on Unity Station's observation deck again, but this time he wasn't alone. Commander Ben Harper had returned from the Outer Rim. Captain Amy Davis was back from her diplomatic mission to the former command worlds. Dr. Carter was there, with reports of successful transitions across the galaxy. So, said Ben, we did it. We actually did it. We freed the galaxy, said Amy. 300 worlds are now free to choose their own futures. And the Galactic Command? Asked Jack. 21 worlds, mostly core systems where the old ways still have support, said Dr. Carter. But they're surrounded by coalition territory. If they try anything aggressive, we'll know immediately. Jack looked out at the busy space lanes. Around Unity Station, ships from hundreds of worlds traveled freely, trading goods and sharing knowledge. The galaxy had never been more peaceful. What about Earth? Asked Ben. How are people handling being the center of galactic attention? They're adjusting, said Jack. It's strange going from an unknown world to the capital of the coalition in less than a year. We're not the capital, corrected Dr. Carter. Unity Station is the capital. Earth is just where it happens to be located. Amy laughed. Tell that to the tourists. We had 3 million alien visitors last month. Small price to pay for galactic freedom, said Jack. Zexthara joined them at the window. Admiral, I wanted to thank you again. My grandchildren are growing up in a very different galaxy than I expected. How are they adapting? They're fascinated by other species. They want to learn alien languages. They want to travel to other worlds. They can't understand why their grandfather used to think conquest was necessary. Kids adapt faster than adults, said Dr. Carter. In a generation, this will all seem normal to them. A generation raised on cooperation instead of conquest, said Ben. That might be our greatest victory, Jack nodded. The coalition isn't just about preventing war. It's about creating a galaxy where war becomes unthinkable. Speaking of the coalition, said Amy, The Council wants to discuss expanding membership. We've got requests from species beyond our current territory. How far beyond? Asked Jack. The Andromeda contacts want to send an ambassador. Apparently, word of our success has spread to other galaxies. Jack smiled. From one world hiding from aliens to a galactic government that other galaxies want to join. That's quite a journey. What happens next? Asked Ben. Next, we keep building, said Jack. We keep proving that different species can work together. We keep showing that freedom is stronger than force. Dr. Carter looked at her reports. The early results are promising. Trade between coalition worlds is up 400%. Scientific cooperation has led to breakthroughs in medicine, energy, and transportation. Crime rates are down on almost every world. People are too busy building their new lives to cause trouble, said Amy. And if someone does cause trouble? Asked Zexthara. Then we handle it together, said Jack. That's what the coalition is for. No world faces problems alone anymore. As they talked, a message came through the station's communication system. All Coalition Council members to the main conference room. We have a situation. They hurried to the conference room. On the main screen was a star map showing the edge of Coalition space. A red dot was blinking in an area that should have been empty. What are W?